Just when life seemed to be settling into a sense of normalcy again after the pandemic, everything changed with a single letter. My husband and I had recently found new jobs after nearly 2 years of unemployment. And for the first time, in a long while, it felt as though we were finally getting back on our feet. Then one afternoon, I opened a notice from our landlord and saw a word that instantly made my stomach drop. Evicted. We had always paid our rent on time and taken good care of the property. But our landlord had decided to sell the house we had lived in for merely 10 years. We were given just 60 days to leave. The news felt like a punch to the chest. Suddenly, the stability we had built over the years seemed to disappear beneath our feet. Questions raced through my mind. Could we find another place in time? How much would rent cost now? Would we be able to stay in the area we loved? What would happen to the life we had worked so hard to rebuild? The housing market had changed dramatically, and rental prices were climbing faster than we could have imagined. As we began searching for a new home, we quickly realized we could no longer afford to stay in the same neighborhood. Even downsizing to a much smaller place would mean paying significantly more each month. To make matters more complicated, we had a large German Shepherd, and many rental properties either refused large dogs or restricted certain breeds. Leaving her behind was never an option, so our search became even more difficult. Day after day, anxiety followed me everywhere. I constantly felt as though a clock was ticking in the background, counting down the days until we had to leave. With less than a month remaining, we still had no place to go. The pressure began affecting every part of our lives. My husband and I spent evenings sorting through closets, deciding what to keep and what to let go. Small disagreements turned into arguments as stress built up. We debated whether to pack certain books, donate old clothes, or hold on to belongings we hadn't used in years. Beneath those conversations was a deeper fear neither of us could fully escape. What if we couldn't find a home in time? Although we were facing the challenge together, I often felt alone with my worries. I tried listening to calming music, practicing meditation, and taking longer walks with our dog, hoping to quiet the endless stream of anxious thoughts. But no matter what I did, the uncertainty remained. I needed something stronger to hold on to. During that difficult season, I found comfort in a simple yet powerful perspective inspired by the 5 elements: earth, water, fire, air, and spirit. The first lesson came from earth. While everything around me felt unstable, earth reminded me to focus on what remained solid. I stopped dwelling on everything that was changing and began paying attention to what was still constant. My husband and I continued supporting one another. We still shared meals, maintained routines, and found comfort in familiar moments. Even standing outside and feeling the ground beneath my feet helped me remember that not everything had been taken away. As I became more grounded, I turned to the lesson of water. Water taught me that emotions are meant to flow. For weeks, I had been trying to stay strong by pushing aside my fear, sadness, and frustration. But pretending those feelings didn't exist only made them stronger. Instead, I began allowing myself to acknowledge them. I talked openly about my worries and gave myself permission to grieve the loss of a home filled with years of memories. Rather than fighting my emotions, I learned to move through them. The next lesson came from fire. Fear and uncertainty had drained much of my energy, leaving me exhausted and discouraged. Fire reminded me that strength still existed within me, even when I couldn't always feel it. Instead of focusing on the enormity of the challenge ahead, I concentrated on small actions. I searched one more listing, made one more phone call, and packed one more box. Those small steps gradually rebuilt my confidence and reminded me that resilience isn't about never feeling afraid. It's about continuing to move forward despite fear. As my confidence returned, air brought another important lesson. Air encouraged me to create space between myself and my worries. I realized that much of my stress came from constantly imagining worst-case scenarios. What if we couldn't find a home? What if we couldn't afford the rent? What if everything went wrong? By taking time to pause, breathe, and focus on the present moment, I began seeing our situation more clearly. Instead of becoming trapped in endless what-ifs, I learned to focus on the next step in front of me. Gradually, the fog of anxiety began to lift. Finally, there was Spirit. Spirit offered something I hadn't realized I needed: trust. Not necessarily certainty about the future, but trust in my ability to face whatever came next. Spirit reminded me that life is filled with changes we don't choose, and sometimes those changes lead us to places we never expected. I couldn't control every outcome, but I could trust my strength, my resilience, and the possibility that there was meaning hidden within the uncertainty. Looking back now, I realize that the experience gave me much more than a new address. It taught me how to remain steady when life feels unstable. It showed me that even when circumstances change unexpectedly, we can still find grounding, strength, clarity, and hope within ourselves. We eventually found a new place to live, but the greatest discovery wasn't the home we moved into. It was the realization that resilience had been inside me all along. Life will always bring moments that challenge our sense of security. Plans will change, opportunities will disappear, and unexpected obstacles will appear without warning. Yet those difficult seasons can also reveal strengths we never knew we possessed. Sometimes, when life shakes the ground beneath our feet, it isn't destroying us. It's helping us discover the roots that were there all along.